Hello, PC gamers. This is Wes, and joining me today is Morgan Park, and we're here to talk about some Halo. Morgan, I think you've been having a lot of fun with Infinite. I've been having a lot of fun with Infinite, surprising amount.
Surprising for sure. I love it, and I haven't really loved a Halo game in a long time.
Yeah, so I think
Um,
we both played the technical test a bit together, and we enjoyed those. But I feel like the final package has come out smoother than expected. Probably like doesn't really have too many of those performance issues that we saw in the technical tests. They addressed some of the gameplay issues that we had noticed, and now we're getting to chew on a lot more maps and different modes and spend more time playing against human beings rather than bots. So we're kind of just here to talk about, like, I guess week one basically with Halo Infinite.
yeah, they're still calling this multiplayer beta, even though it's out. It's out, right?
Yeah, it's
The,
out. It's a
the
free to play game. It's as out as it's gonna get.
yeah, the quote unquote full game is out in less than a month, and they're just gonna add the campaign, as far as we can tell. It's a $60 add-on. So what this is basically what Infinite is for the time being, and I think most important to me is that it feels like Halo and also feels very new. But I get the feeling that you have some more particular feelings about the details.
I am with
of
you
this.
that it absolutely feels like Halo in a way that Halo 4 and Halo 5, to a degree that those games didn't. And they've been pretty candid about this game trying to go back to kind of the Halo 1 aesthetic and like what does original Halo look like 20 years later. And I think they managed to do that both visually and in a way that like is really impressive in terms of the gunplay and all the abilities and stuff you have in combat, where they got rid of all of those sort of built-in abilities you had in Halo 5 that I know you really liked, but I think they managed to keep a lot of that mobility in smaller bursts. When you pick up the grappling hook mid-match and then all of a sudden like you can just board somebody's vehicle from 20 feet away with it. That creates some really exciting moments, but it doesn't like totally dominate the shooting all the time.
Yeah, I think that's the critical thing. They took away Spartan Charge, just like the instant kill thing you could do when you got up to a sprinting speed, which just felt cheap a lot of the time, even though it was kind of satisfying. And same thing with the ground pound, which is like same thing, but you'd hover in the air. Yeah, I thought I would miss that stuff more, but it turns out most of what I liked was the sprinting and the mantling, which feel like awesome.
They kind of feel like
Still,
things you can't not have in a shooter at this point. I mean, I'm sure somebody could pull it off. You could make a Quake throwback that doesn't have mantling, I guess, but like for the most part, it feels wrong to jump towards a ledge and then kind of just bonk off of it.
yeah, it's like one jarring thing going back to old Halos and Master Chief Collection. Just definitely miss that. But you're right in that the equipment is like such a nice balance of like still getting opportunities to have enhanced mobility. Like there's if you know where stuff spawns, or if you're just keeping an eye out, there's essentially no life, like no respawn in which you won't be able to just find a grapple hook on the ground, or the thrusters, which is the other thing that's gone from 5 by default, is an equipment. You can thrust left, right, or backwards like 3 or 4 times when you have it. And that's just so much more fun than everybody spamming them all the time. Like if you pick up a grapple hook, you feel like you just suddenly get the inclination, like, okay, this life is about making the most of this grapple hook. Like, let's find a gun to pair with it, which is kind of like what you could do in 3 with like the bubble shield and like the power drain thing and the grav lift. But these are just so much cooler than that stuff ever was.
One of the things I think I'm finding really exciting and kind of invigorating playing Halo Infinite is, I mean, for one thing, I'm not nearly as good at Halo as I once was. I played thousands of hours of these games on consoles, and now I'm on PC, and like my keyboard mouse skills are not where my muscle memory was for years of playing those games. But there's still so much in Infinite that feels like I don't know yet, and there's going to be a really fun learning curve of how to properly use the grappling hook in the right situations, and like when you use the thruster pack well to dodge. So many of the new power weapons, I'm not sure really how to use them very situationally, and I feel like a lot of them feel underpowered in my hands, but I don't know that they necessarily are. I think it's just I don't know how to use them right yet. So that's something I hope I pick up over time, either in multiplayer, maybe going into the little like training mode they have now, or by playing the campaign and like figuring out what the hell these things do.
That's what I did with the Cinder Shot, which is like one I see people using a lot, but I just can't seem to make work in my hands. I went into a bot match, and you can set the bots to like move like real players, but not actually shoot at you. And I think that was a really nice way to like see how that thing works. Turns out it's like a slow, fiery grenade launcher, but that when you like alternate fire, you can like steer the projectile mid-air, like Half-Life's rocket launcher kind of. And yeah, if it makes like direct contact, I think it's a near one-hit kill or something.
I think I've used
cool
the Cinder Shot a total of one time where my friend dropped it and said, "Oh, the Cinder Shot only has one shot left." I picked it up, walked around the corner. He was getting shot to death by a guy, and I was about 2 feet away and just blasted him, and he disintegrated into particles. And I was like,
Perfect.
"Well, there's my one shot. I'm a pro with the Cinder Shot now." But I was kind of can't miss range, which is a lot different than guided projectile range. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love their commitment to like everything having or at least most power weapons having an alternate fire. There's that Hydra rocket launcher, which is like by default a precision like smaller rocket launcher, and then you right click it and it can lock on to even players. But those rockets are a lot weaker, I think. So it's kind of like give or take accuracy for power.
Yeah, so far
you're
the
right.
guns feel really good. I think one of the stumbles they've made with this rollout is the playlists feel a little bit too constrained. I don't know if they were worried about having enough people in different playlists, if they were just keeping it manageable for for the launch, which is understandable. But I like CTF. I like objective game modes. I know a lot of people love Slayer. It feels a little weird to just have kind of, quick match, which is like everything, or big team battle, which is, everything big team, and not really any granularity of choice. If you want to go into, back in the day, you used to do like action sack if you wanted to play modes like oddball and, territories and stuff. And now it's kind of like, well, if you really like CTF or you really like Slayer, you might end up playing a bunch of those when you log on, or you might not get the game type you want.
No, yeah, I think the way they used to was like brilliant, and most games didn't copy it, even though they should have. Where it was like, yeah, top of the list is like the bundle of weird game modes that are like maybe limited time to try out, and then for people that are boring like me, there's Slayer. It's just Slayer down there. If you want to play Slayer, you can play some Slayer.
And maybe you've got a SWAT Slayer playlist too if you want to play Slayer with no shields.
There's no SWAT in this game right now, which like it's weird because in the context of Halo that's bizarre, but in the context of other games Halo is competing with right now, it's not that weird. Like Warzone cycles in and out modes all the time, like Call of Duty Vanguard and Cold War, but for Halo it feels wrong. It's like sacrilege.
And I'm sure those playlists will come maybe as soon as the next few weeks. Hopefully it doesn't take them too long, but it is a little bit frustrating right out of the gate. And I think that, along with the progression system, is something that has frustrated a bunch of people. But they're already making changes to how quickly you get through the progression system by sort of giving everybody like a gimme challenge, I believe, and like upping some of the experience. But it seems like long term, to mollify the loudest critics, they're probably going to have to switch from their challenges, for their progression being totally based on challenges, which is like, kill a flag carrier and like return the flag 3 times, or, get enough kills with a certain weapon. I feel like they're going to have to add a more just general progression of like, you win matches, XP. You get XP. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it will feel bad if they don't do that. Like even this play a match, get 100 HP or whatever it is, just feels like a weird tacked on part of that. I don't know. Like there's countless other games that do it better than this, so they should just copy those.
some growing pains for Halo going free to play for the first time.
And I guess like I hope this feels silly to talk about in a year because they will just have like pumped up how much you unlock and how quickly, so that like within like 10 hours you have all the colors you could want and everyone's just running around with crazy samurai armor or something.
How do you feel generally about the kind of what else is here at launch for the multiplayer? We've got, I think, 10 maps, and if I'm right, there's like 3 of those are dedicated big team battle, and the rest are, for 4v4 basically.
Yeah, it's okay. I want more maps. It's I don't know, like a game this repetitive by design, I think feels a lot fuller with more maps. And I was checking stats just out of curiosity. This is one of those lowest pools, or one of the smallest pools of maps at a Halo game's launch. And like, Call of Duty Vanguard just launched with 16 maps at once. That feels pretty good. Battlefield has 7, which is kind of low, but those are huge maps. So like, I don't know. Like, I get fatigued when I see the loading screen and it's a map that I've played 3 times tonight. And so I feel like 10 split between 2 modes is just a little too small.
Yeah, I feel like almost all of the Halo games have launched with what feels like a little bit too small of a map pool. I remember playing Halo 2, and like every time we would play Burial Grounds, we would all just groan before the first map pack for that game came out, maybe 6 months later or something. But it seems like we haven't talked too much about the custom game stuff yet, and we haven't ourselves done any like inter-team custom games, although we totally should. But you messed around with the custom game menu a bit, right? And like it is very extensive, right?
Yeah. Everything's short of like setting things up in Forge mode, like you can already do in that custom game. You can take any of the existing maps, change any and all variables, and make a mode. Yeah, I don't think people will really be excited about that mode until they can set up a public server for other people to join.
Yeah.
That is missing right now. The most you can do is just invite friends to whatever weird thing you've set up, which, Battlefield 2042 is also launching right now with a portal mode that is this cool community server thing, and I wish Halo could share in that.
They added a server browser for Master Chief Collection, which is pretty cool, and harkens back to the fact that like Halo 1 on PC had a server browser and had custom games running for, at this point, literally for 2 decades. Like people have been playing that game on PC still. And the Xbox versions of Halo didn't necessarily need that. But some of my best memories of playing Halo on Xbox too were when a new map pack came out. Everybody was online. We would set up custom games and you would invite your 4 friends, and then they would invite 1 or 2 friends, and then they would invite 1 or 2 friends, and all of a sudden you had a 16-player lobby and you were playing huge crazy CTF games. And they could, with server browsers, cut out all of that friends inviting friends bullshit and just let you set up a server for whatever cool ass game mode you designed.
Yep, put it like front and center right with everything else. Like that should be a main feature of the game.
But I think the good news here is like all of the fundamentals feel so good, and the fact that this game is free to play, I don't think we have to worry about there being an audience to support all of these things that we hope they add over time. People are still going to be playing this game. It's going to be making money. It seems like 5 years from now, Halo Infinite will still be a lively multiplayer community, unless something really terrible happens that we can't foresee.
Yeah. No, I feel really good about it. It usually you get the opposite. Usually you get like a promising game that like needs a lot of work on the game part, and I would feel really good when the game launches and already is like one of the best playing things around and just needs everything around it to coalesce. That's where we're at here.
So yeah, that's our quick take on Halo Infinite's multiplayer first week. We've also got an article up on the site with everybody's impressions in there, some other voices going through how the game feels, talking a bit more about the PC performance and stuff on there. So go check that out and expect a lot more coverage on Halo Infinite, including the campaign and everything multiplayer post-launch.